Birmingham, Alabama is creating new jobs and revitalizing its downtown. I'm joined now by the mayor of Birmingham, William Bell. So nice to see you here in New York.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk first about the revitalization underway in your downtown area. What is the redevelopment going to bring the city?
Well, right now we have a sort of a mini boom in terms of people moving back into the city, especially into our downtown area. We made a lot of investments. As you know, coming out of the recession, things were kind of slow. Construction jobs were going lax. But because of the investment that we made, we now have a construction boom going on, especially around the area that we call Railroad Park. We're building some 400 or 500 apartment units with the anticipation of having several hundred more come online within the next 2 to 3 years. That has sparked other ancillary businesses moving into the downtown area, and it's really growing, and we're excited about what's happening in Birmingham right now.
What are you doing to attract businesses to the city?
Well, we're doing a number of things. First of all, we've upgraded our ability to service businesses in the area by streamlining our tax process, streamlining our business permit process, and a number of other things. You may find it unusual, but we're actually rolling back our business license tax. We're cutting that in half to stimulate more activity and more businesses moving back into the city itself. So again, we're excited.
Birmingham and Alabama as a whole is benefiting from the automakers that have located there. I read that you had a 1 millionth car produced last year for all the automakers in Alabama. How key is that industry to Birmingham?
Well, for a number of years, Birmingham was known as a steel production center. And as the competition around the world grew tighter and steel production slacked off, we had to look for other ways to boost the economy. And around the latter part of the 80s, early 90s, we started looking at the automotive industries and how we could get foreign automotive investors to come to Alabama. And Mercedes was the first. Now we have Honda, Hyundai, and a number of other associated companies that move into the area. So it's been vital to the diversification of businesses coming into the area.
Do you expect any of those automakers to expand operations?
Well, they've already expanded and will continue to expand. For example, Mercedes just came on with a third manufacturing line and talk of a fourth manufacturing line. Honda has added additional hours and workers to their line production. I'm not that familiar with Hyundai. It's to the south of us, and it doesn't impact our economy as much, but they're doing well in their location.
Tell me a little bit about the job creation that you've seen the last couple of years. Where are most of those jobs coming from? Where do you expect them going forward in terms of industry?
Well, two things are happening. Birmingham is the home of the University of Alabama in Birmingham, which is a tremendous medical facility, medical education and research. You have a lot of researchers over there at the university that are coming up with new concepts and new ideas. And what we're doing, we're working with them to help convert that research into business opportunities. The funny part about it, most researchers don't have the business skills necessary to make that conversion, but we set up incubator facilities that we assist them in developing business plans and things of that nature. So that's creating a lot of new businesses in the area. It's been demonstrated that for every dollar that we invest in the university, we receive back $16.35. I always like to throw that 35 cents in there because that's important. But it has been an economic driver for the city of Birmingham. Now with the increase in the automotive production in the area, with the increase in the financial institutions in the area, things are starting to be on the upswing.
Let's talk about human rights for a minute. You are starting a Freedom Center, basically a look at human rights research, education. When you saw what happened in Baltimore not so long ago, what advice would you give to officials in Baltimore? Can what happened in Baltimore still today happen anywhere? And certainly in Birmingham's history, that is something that you were all too familiar with many decades ago.
Absolutely. The honest truth is it could happen anywhere. You've had a retrenchment of the federal government in terms of coming up with programs to assist in training, education, and things of that nature. And so you have a generation of people who are out there languishing. And because of that, any little spark can set off something like what we've seen in Baltimore. I'm a part of the presidential task force on My Brother's Keeper, and we're looking at ways that not necessarily use federal dollars, but to use private sector dollars to create employment training programs, to make sure that every child that goes to the third grade can read at the third grade level, to do a number of things to give added impetus to making our young people more productive citizens, so you don't have those sparks that touch off incidents like what happened in Baltimore. Birmingham is fortunate that down through the years, we've developed sensitivity programs for our police department to make sure that it doesn't become an us against them scenario. And oftentimes in situations like Ferguson and Baltimore, the police are seen as a foreign force, occupying force more or less, but there should be a more warm relationship between the police and the community itself. And we've always worked hard because of our civil rights history. We can go back and recount some of the things that happened with our police department back in the 50s and 60s. But because of that, we've become more sensitive to come up with programs and ways to make sure that the community and the police department work together to solve crime problems.
Mayor William Bell, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Rhonda Schaffler for The Street.